सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। ॐ पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। ओम नमो ब्रह्मादिभ्यो ब्रह्म विद्या संप्रदाय कर्तृभ्यो वंश ऋषिभ्यो नमो गुरुभ्यः। So we were looking at the Neti Neti Bhashya. Why Upanishad has to teach the self or Brahman using this method of not this, not that. In fact, I told you that there are two ways of revealing Brahman. The Brahma Sutra, in fact, uses the Tatastha Lakshana. The first sutra is Athato Brahma Jijnasa. Then Janmadhyasya Yataha. So there, Janmadi of the Jagat, Srishti, etc., Srishti, Sthiti, Laya, all these three, that which is the cause for that. Janmadihi Asya Jagataha Yataha, from which the creation has come, by which it is sustained, into which again it resolves. That is the Lakshana which Vyasa is using in Brahma Sutra, which is called Tatastha Lakshana. Tatastha Lakshana means what? You are trying to reveal something using an incidental characteristic, you can say. Incidental characteristic, we can call it. Like saying, if you want, somebody comes to you, okay, in fact, both of you are standing there, and that person asks, which is the house of so and so? So you say, the house where the crow is sitting is the house of this person. Now that is called Tatastha Lakshana, because crow is not really an attribute or a characteristic of the house itself. But at that time, the crows can still be used as a characteristic or a Lakshana to reveal that particular house. Correct? In fact, the Tatastha Lakshana need not even be there at that time. So suppose both of you have seen the crow sitting on that house and it flew away. Then also it can still be used, correct? The house on which the crow was sitting is the house which you are looking for, correct? That is the incidental characteristic or Lakshana which can be used to reveal something, correct? That is called Tatastha Lakshana. Then we also talk about Swarupa Lakshana. Swarupa Lakshana means that which is part of a particular thing itself, its very nature, correct? So if you ask what is water, we have to say it is H2O. Means that is its Swarupa. It has two hydrogen atoms, one atom of oxygen. That can be called Swarupa Lakshana. In the case of Brahman, Satyam Jnanam Anantam, Vijnana Ghana, Vijnanam Anandam Brahma, all these things are taken as Swarupa Lakshana. Okay. Then we have this Neti Neti also here. So this particular Brahmana started with that there are only two rupas for Brahman, Murtam and Amurta. And there also Bhashyakara interpreted rupa as Rupyate iti, that which is revealed through these forms. And how the revelation is happening now? By actually negating those very Murta and Amurta itself. Okay. By negating all of them only, whatever is left out as the negator, that is the Swarupa of this Atma. Now, why Shruti has to reveal using negation? This is a problem for many people, in fact. That is because Atma itself is Agrahyaha, Aprameya. It can never be an object of any cognition. Correct? Later on, don't think that this Neti Neti is used only once. In Brihadaranyaka itself, Shruti keeps on repeating this. Later on, it will come Sayesha Neti Neti, like that. 3:9:26 also in Brihadaranyaka itself. Then 4:2:4, 4:4:22, 4:5:15. Everywhere this Neti Neti comes again and again. In fact, many of those Vakyas are all very, very well-known Vakyas in Brihadaranyaka. So Shruti not only uses this Neti Neti once, it is repeating it another 4 more times. And in the later on that Sayesha Neti Neti, it will also say Agrahyaha, like that. Okay, immediately it will say Neti Neti Agrahyaha. Okay, na grihyate. Agrahyaha na grihyate. Ashiryaha na shiryate. Asangaha na hi sajyate. Like that, it keeps on going when it talks about this Atma as the one who is left out after negating everything that can be objectified. So it is Agrahyaha, means what? It cannot be grasped or it cannot be objectified by any cognition. Nahi grihyate. The same thing is said even in Bhagavad Gita also, correct? Atma is revealed as Aprameyaha, even there. In the second chapter itself, Bhagavan says that Atma is Aprameya. So it is not an object of any cognition. So that being the case, the only way which you can really reveal this Atma is by negating whatever is an object. In fact, this is very clearly said in the Kenopanishad also, correct? Kenopanishad is very, very clear on this point. I always go back to Kenopanishad because it's one of my favorites, because it makes things so clear. Na tatra chakshur gacchati na vag gacchati no manaha na vidmaha na vijanimaha yataitad anushishyat. So very clear, correct? The eyes do not go there, speech, words cannot go there, mind cannot be there, it cannot be known, in fact, but still it is being taught, correct? Anya devatad viditad atho aviditad adhi. It is other than what you know, it is other than what you don't know also, correct? So iti shushruma purvesham yonastad vyacha chakshire. So that's how it has been taught to us by our gurus, whoever has been there before us, correct? Yad vacha anubhyutitam yena vag abhyudyate tadeva brahmatvam vidhi nedam ididam upasate. Like that, it keeps on going. Yen manasana manute yenahur manomatam tadeva brahmatvam vidhi nedam ididam upasate. So whatever is available as this or that cannot be this Brahman or Atma, because by the very fact that you are able to point it out as this, it has become something limited, correct? A limited vastu. Brahman being Anantam, it can never be pointed out by any particular word as this. Understand that it cannot be the meaning of any one particular word. This is a very important thing to understand. Therefore, so how do we even reveal? That is why Adhyaropa Apavadabhyam Nishprapancham Prapanchate. That which cannot be really even objectified by any means of knowledge. How do we reveal that? By deliberately superimposing all the objects by showing Brahman as the cause of everything and then negating all the effects. Whatever is left out is this Brahman, Atma. And the more important point here is it need not be objectified for you to know. The whole problem with Atma Vidya, where does all the confusion come? The confusion is there because all other knowledge we have gained as a knower is all knowledge which we have objectified and known, correct? We objectify everything through our mind. Of course, senses also objectify in the case of sense perception. Otherwise, it is purely mind. Inference is done by the mind. Even abstract concepts also we actually conceptualize in the mind and objectify that in the mind. So everything is known as an object. That is how we have known everything. But in all these things, we have taken one thing for granted, which we have not really focused on. What is it that we have taken for granted? We have taken the knower for granted. Because the knower is never known as a known. Understand that. The knower cannot be known as a known. The subject can never become the object. But what is the nature of this subject? That is what we have taken for granted. Because of adhyasa also, correct? We place the knower, Atma, on the body. We place the knower, Atma, the conscious self, on prana, on our own mind. All these are locus of our error, ignorance. And then we take all those attributes of Anatma as Atma and suffering. So this has to go away. So how do we then teach? Because there is not only that you do not know your true nature, there is also error is there. That is one more reason why negation is very important. Understand that. It's not that we have to, in fact, Atma need not be even revealed. Shruti need not reveal Atma, it does not really reveal the existence of Atma. Understand that. Atma is known to everybody already because Atma is self-existent and self-revealing. I know myself, my existence I can never doubt. I need not even establish my existence by using any means of knowledge. That is not really required, correct? So then, what is required by the Shruti is only to remove all your wrong notions about yourself. That's what Shruti is really doing. It is removing all wrong notions by negating all your errors. And all your errors are in fact because of you placing yourself on the Anatma, correct? Placing the I on the Anatma and taking over the qualities of the Anatma is the problem. That is what is samsara. And that has to be negated. There is no other way, there is no better way to really teach this Atma, this Brahman. So this part we saw in fact. Tanu katham abhyam neti neti iti shabdabhyam satyasya satyam nirdidikshitam. So how are you saying that you have revealed the nature of this satyasya satyam Brahman by the words neti neti? So Bhashyakara says sarva upadi vishesha apohena. So by negating all the qualities of all the upadis which you have taken on yourself, correct? That is the error. Correct? So in Brahman there are no Visheshas. It is Nirvishesha, Nirguna, Nishkriya also. Correct? There is no action, activity. So Another thing also Bhashyakara is pointing out is what? Only that which is having some name, some form, some action, some division within itself, correct, like parts and all that, or something which belongs to a particular class or category or genus, jati. Only that which has all these things, that which has qualities, that alone can be revealed by words. Shabda Pravritti can only be there when all these things are there. Where there is no Shabda Pravritti, words cannot really access, correct? Yato vacho nivartante apraapya manasa saha. Taittiriya also says the same thing. Already I told you about Kenopanishad also. So, that which cannot be the meaning of any one particular word, how are we going to reveal that? Okay. So, therefore, it cannot be revealed by any one word. In fact, ataha na nirdeshtum shakyate Bhashyakara. Because there is no Vishesha in Brahman. There are no qualities, there are no other anything else also, in fact. So you cannot show it as this is Brahman. That is why Kenopanishad is again and again saying Nedam Edidam Upasate. It is not that which you do Upasana as this, correct? This Vishnu with four hands, Shanka, Chakra, all these forms are all only for Upasana purposes. That is not Brahman. Vishnu Swarupa is Brahman really. Your Swarupa also is Brahman only. Correct? So, in fact, those who claim that I know Brahman as an object, they do not know anything. That also Kenopanishad says, Yedi manyase suvedeti dabhramevapi nunam tum vetta brahmano rupam. So if you say that I know Brahman very well as an object of knowledge, then in fact you know very little, it says. What is the nature of Brahman? You know very little. In fact, it is not only in the case of human beings, even if devas say that also, they don't know anything, in fact. They have to further analyze. Atanu mimamsyameva, like that, Kenopanishad says. Even after all this, one guy says, he is the jnani, he says, manye viditam. I consider myself that I know this Brahman. Manye viditam. You can say that still, because you have understood that I am this conscious being who is ever the knower, to whom everything becomes evident. In fact, you are not even the knower, because knower status also is coming and going only. You don't have to be the knower of anything, in fact. Only if something is there to be known, you even take the status of knower. Otherwise, you are just a conscious being. That's it. And that conscious being need not be even indicated by any word really. That is why we say Maunam and all that. This is all again misinterpreted a lot, correct? Dakshinamurti is in Maunam. He taught through Maunam. Means if somebody is just sitting, Mauni Babas are very famous in India. Even my Guruji used to always say that I'll become more famous if I just sit under a tree and I don't talk anything. Teaching is actually more difficult, correct? You have to teach through words only. But that which cannot be really indicated by any one particular word. That is the beauty of teaching, in fact. That is Ascharya also, correct? Every Vedanta class is an Ascharya, because it is so amazing, so wonderful, that one is revealing that which cannot be revealed through words only. Even that has to be revealed through using the words very intelligently. There is a particular methodology of operating the words. That is the beauty, in fact. That is something which you can never get tired of. Also. Okay, so it's a joy. Every day you can do that, and it never gets boring. So this Brahman, even though it cannot be shown, like Bhashyakara clearly says, Gauhu asau spandate shuklaha vishaniti yata loke nirdishyate. So in the world, we can show a cow to you, a particular cow I want to show you amongst many cows. I can distinguish it based on many different characteristics, correct? Whether it is moving or not, whether what is the color of that cow, whether it has a horn or not, how big it is. So any Visheshana you use, it is only used to narrow down and then point out a particular, reveal a particular individual, let us say. That is possible in the world for worldly objects. But like that, Brahman cannot be revealed. So Brahman can only be revealed by negation, by negating everything. Okay. And even Swarupa Lakshana are also Adhyaropita only. So that's what he now points here. Adhyaropita Nama Rupa Karma Dwarena Brahma Nirdishyate. Even Brahman is being revealed only by superimposing some name, form, or some activity like all this Janmadhyasya Yataha. Creating is an activity, correct? That activity is not really there in Brahman. But Vyasa uses that, Upanishad itself uses that, correct? Yato vacho nimat, sorry. Yataf pravrittir bhutani yena sarvamidam tatam. Sorry, that is again Bhagavad Gita. Anyway, so this Taittiriya Upanishad has that Vakya which Vyasa is using in the Brahma Sutra, correct? Janmadhyasya yataha. And here it is very clear that all this creation, sustenance, resolution and all that, they are all activities, but they have to be considered as superimposed just to reveal you the nature of Brahman. So Brahma Nirdishyate Adhyaropita Nama Rupa Karma Dwarena, only by superimposed names, forms, action, etc. Through that only, you first superimpose deliberately and then negate all that, and whatever is left out is Brahman. That is the only way you can in fact reveal. So Bhashyakara even gives all this, what is normally considered as Swarupa Lakshana here, right? Vijnanam Anandam Brahma. Because the most famous Swarupa Lakshana is Sachidananda. Everybody talks about that, correct? You read any book, existence, knowledge, bliss is Brahman, Sachidananda. But even there, if you read the Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma Bhashya in Taittiriya Upanishad, it is very beautiful. So why these three words are revealing words? They are not really. See, Satyam Jnanam Anantam does not become qualities of Brahman. Understand? It's not a guna. There, Bhashyakara explains that a lot. But where does negation come in that? The negation comes in that because when we say Satyam, Satyam is used in the world also as a word, correct? This is the truth. This is Satyam. But that Satyam is conditioned by space and time. Because all existence is in space time only we know. But Bhashyakara says there Satyam, you have to give up all this space time. Whatever normally you know as Satyam, you have to negate that and only understand Satyam as that which is existent, not even in space time. Correct? Brahman is there. That much say. So Brahman is not asat. Otherwise, you will end up like a Buddhist saying that nothing is there. That problem also is there, correct? Agrahyam, you say it can never be known, means then it is not there. Whatever I can know alone is there, you can say. So agrahyam or aprameya cannot mean that Brahman itself is not there. Who is saying Brahman is not there? That question we'll ask again anyway. But still, it should not lead to a inference like that, correct? So Brahman is there, but Brahman is not existent as you normally understand existence to be. So that part you have to give up, he says. Bhagat Tyaga Lakshanam, we say, correct? There also. So normally Bhagatyaga Lakshana we talk about in Tattvamasi and all that. You have to give up one portion of the meaning, only one part you have to take, and then the identity is established. But even in the Swarupa Lakshana and all that, you are still negating one portion of its real meaning and only understanding that which is relevant to Brahman. So Jnanam also, normally Jnanam means what? Jnana Kriya only, correct? Knowing things. So Vijnanam, Anandam, Brahma is there here. Vijnanam means what? Knowing. Knowing is an action. So there is a huge Purva there also. In Satyam Jnanam, Anandam, Brahma, Jnanam means there is Jnana Kriya is there in Brahman. So you cannot say it is Nishkriyam. Like this, they are arguing. Then Bhashyakara has to point out Jnana Kriya is happening only in the Antakarana. There is no Kriya in Chaitanyam, in awareness. In fact, the word Jnanam again has to give up this notion of Jnana Kriya and take it only as Jnapti. He actually uses an abstract form of the word again. Jnanam itself is abstract really. But he uses one more word, Jnapti. Jnapti Matram, he says. So it is still consciousness to which everything becomes evident, but there is no activity involved in that. It is like the sun is shining, we say. But shining is not really an activity of the sun, correct? That shining and all is only from our standpoint is shining. From its own standpoint, there is no action or anything of shining. So here, Jnapti Matram, Bhashyakara, there. So it is, its very nature is of consciousness, but it's not really doing anything to actually reveal something or anything. It does not do any activity. There is no Jnana Kriya there. So that portion of our understanding you have to negate and then understand it as purely consciousness, because that which exists also, there can be a doubt whether it is then like a jada or it is a aware principle. Not jada, that also has to be negated. So that's why that Swarupa Lakshana also is actually negating that Brahman exists, but not in space-time. Again, it exists, but it is not jada. And its very nature is of consciousness, but it does not really do any activity of knowing. Right? It is abstract knowing or abstract knowledge or consciousness. There is no action involved in that. So that's how you can even Ananda. But next Brahmana is all about that, correct? Next Brahmana will go a very famous Brahmana we'll see there. But Anandam means what? Again, bliss. It is translated as bliss. No, bliss means again it is something like bubbling happiness, correct? That is the that's how at least I visualize it when I hear the word bliss. Maybe some others, native English speakers, may visualize it differently or how, I don't know. But that again is something like bliss means what? It involves certain activity to start sometime, and of course it cannot last forever and all that. But still, that word is used. But Samskrita Ananda, I don't know whether you can really translate it as bliss, but it is done like that, only to show that it is Niratishaya Ananda, I think, because it is like something, it is incomparable. But really here Ananda also means what? It is only dukkha is negated. There is no sorrow or dukkha anymore. You don't look upon yourself as a wanting person in any manner. That itself is Ananda, in fact. In fact, all Ananda, you are the source of all Ananda also. That way also, the word Ananda is used because there is no other source of happiness. But really, this Ananda also is one form of negation of dukkha. So all these things are also, negation is involved. That's what I want to point out. It's all neti neti only. Vijnanam Anandam Brahma, Vijnana Ghana Eva Brahmatma. Later on in this Brihadaranyaka itself, Vityavamadi Shabdaihi. So in this manner, there are different Shabdas are there. Vijnana Ghana is used, or Prajnana Ghana also is used in Aitareya Upanishad, Prajnanam Brahma. So Vijnana Ghana means what? Dense, means homogeneous. So it is nothing but consciousness. There is no other anything else. It is awareness, it is consciousness itself. There is nothing else. That is why Vijnana Ghana. But again, this Vijnana is not in the form of knowing something or activity or anything like that. It itself is Vijnana. That is the Swarupa, that is your Swarupa. You are the conscious being to whom everything becomes evident. That's all. You are the Alupta Drika. Your eyes never close. Correct? Later on, Brihadaranyaka itself will say. In fact, before this also we saw the Bhashya, correct? How does Bhashyakara reveal this Atma, or even Brihadaranyaka itself? Drishte drashtaram. Correct? Na viparilopo vidyate. Later on it will come. It never ceases. The sight of the seer or the seer of the sight never ceases, never stops. Drashtuhu drishte viparilopo na vidyate. Avinashitvat. Will come later. This has been again even in 1410, I think. This was discussed a lot. Bhashyakara pointed out Atma as the seer of sight itself. Normally, whatever we consider as sight, even that is seen by whom? Again, the same thing comes in Kenopanishad also. Shrotasya Shrotram Manaso Manoyate Vachoha Vacham Sau Pranasya Pranaha Chakshusas Chakshuhu. Like this, it was pointed out even in Kenopanishad. And that is your very nature. That's how it can be pointed out, in fact. There is no other way of, no other better way also you cannot find. This is the only way in which this Brahman can be taught. So that is so very important to understand. And all the words which we use to reveal Brahman, they are all really superimpositions only. And even there you have to negate the popular meanings and just understand yourself. In fact, that negation has to take away the error which you have made with reference to yourself. Along with the negation, any erroneous cognition you have about yourself has to go away. That is the only reason we are using all these words. Otherwise, one is always known to oneself. You need not establish yourself through any means of knowledge. You are self-revealing, self-existing Atma. All we are doing through all these different words, which themselves are superimpositions only, is to remove all wrong notions which you have about yourself. So, continuing further, what Yada Punaha Surupameva Nirdidikshitam Bhavati Nirasta Sarva Upadi Vishesham Tada na Shakyate Kenachidapi Prakarena Nirdeshtum. So, that's what Bhashyakara is now pointing out. If you are only revealing your one's nature as that which is there after negating all the qualities of all the conditioning factors, correct? That's how you have to reveal this. That's how the Swarupa has to be revealed, means then you cannot reveal it in any other way. Tadana shakyate kenachidapi prakarena nirdeshtum. You cannot really reveal this in any other way. Only through negation you can reveal. So tada ayameva abhyupayaha. Okay, so that's what the Upanishad itself is saying here. Nahi etasmad iti ne iti anyat param asti. So there is nothing else you can do, correct? This is the only way this can be revealed. There is no other better way. Kenachidapi prakarena na nirdeshtum shakyate. Tada ayameva abhyupayah. So this alone is the method way you can reveal. What is that? Yad uta prapta nirdesha pratisheda dwarena neti neti iti nirdeshaha. So the neti neti is the only nirdesha which is possible, where whatever has been superimposed already. Prapta nirdesha means whatever this murta dvaveva rupe, like that. Two rupas of Brahman, Murta and Amurta, all this is already prapta, already under discussion. And only by negating all that, the entire thing, you can reveal this. There is no other way. Okay, idancha nakara dvayam vipsa vyaptyartham. So this two times you are repeating, correct? Neti neti. That is called vipsa in Sanskrit. In fact, it is there in many Indian languages. It is very much there in Tamil. It may be there in Telugu and other languages also. So we say gramam gramama pone. Two times we repeat gramam gramam. Why we say like gramam gramama pone means what? I went to village. In fact, many Indians, we take all this Indian language peculiarities into English. So sometimes people even translate like that. We went village. Like this, some people can say. So we went to every village, basically it means all. If you repeat something two times, it is called vipsa, means it covers everything, it covers all. So here nakaradvayam is for vipsa, means what? Yadyad praptam tat nishidhyate. Whatever has been till now superimposed, which is available now, correct? Everything has to be negated. Everything is negated, in fact, using that vipsa. By repeating it two times, whatever is available as this, all that is negated. Okay, whatever is available as this or that, we can also, because this means immediate direct perception, that means whatever you indirectly you can know, or whatever you don't know also, everything is negated. Every object is negated by that. So tatacha sati anirdishta shanka anirdishta ashanka brahmanaha parihrita bhavati. So this being the case, what? Brahman has not been taught. Okay. There is a doubt that whether Brahman has been taught or described. That also is now removed, because the nirdesha is there. Neti neti is itself the nirdesha. Okay. So again, Bhashyakara wants to make this very clear. So he is again giving a note here. What is that? Anyatha hi nakaradvayena prakritadvaya pratishede yad anyat prakritat pratisiddhadvayat brahma tanna nirdishtam kidrishannu khalu iti ashanka na nivartayishyate. So if you why this vipsa and everything which is available we have to consider, Bhashyakara is giving here. So if you say that it has only removed this murta and amurta, which is under discussion, of course that itself is covering the entire Srishti. In one way we can talk about it. But let us say others say there are other aspects other than murta and amurta also. What about all that then? Will it get left out? Will that be then Brahman? And how do you know that Upanishad does not talk about something else later on? So if we do not consider that neti neti vipsa actually negates everything that is objective, then there can still be some doubt, correct? What Brahman is like, there can be a doubt with reference to that. Okay. So that is why Bhashyakara is pointing out here this note that if there is anything else other than whatever is prakrita, then if that is not included, if you say only these two murta and amurta are negated, then there can still be a doubt. that doubt will not go away, he says. Iti ashanka na nivartishyate, he says. Nivartishyate. Will not go away. Kidrisham, what is this Brahman like? Kidrisham nu khalu. That is not properly, tanna nirdishtam, it is not properly revealed, described. That doubt can be there. That is why we have to take it as that it completely negates everything. Of course, it negates the Murta and Amurta itself. So, further what tatacha anarthakascha sa nirdeshaha purushasya vividishayaha anivartakatva. Also, if you only say that it has only partially negated, only these two and something else also is there, then the negation itself is meaningless, he says. If something else is left out of this negation, by negating partially, you do not reveal anything correctly, correct? See, even any Vishesha, that's why. If 100 cows are there, you want to show one particular cow, let us say, correct? If you simply say white cow is what I want to show you, or somebody says in Tirupati I want to show you somebody, okay? Now what is the description he gives? Hey, you go to Tirupati and the person I want you to meet will be having shaven head. Okay. See, everybody has shaven head in Tirupati. Understand? Once you go, most people offer their hair and they are all having shaven head. So that is not any description, correct? That is not Vyavartakam really. Because any Visheshana has to be a Vyavartaka. It has to reduce the possibilities so that you can narrow down to a particular object. So partial negation will not really help in knowing what is Brahman, correct? Everything has to be negated, and whatever is left behind is the negator. The negator Surupa alone is revealed by negating everything. That's the only way you can actually teach properly. Otherwise, it is meaningless. This anarthakascha Bhashyakara. Because it will not remove everything. Unless you remove, if 100 cows are there, you have to keep on giving qualities or action or something else. Some Visheshana you have to give so that you finally narrow down and you know which cow you want to really point out. Correct. Like that here, this Nirdesha has to negate everything so that Brahman as Atma is revealed. Okay. Otherwise, the whatever desire you have to learn, it will not be fulfilled. Okay. Also, Brahma Nyapayishyami iti cha vakyam aparisamaptartham syat. Also, Ajatashatru started with the Vakya, I will teach you Brahman. That will also not be completed. Brahman will not be taught properly. If everything is not negated here, then you cannot claim that Brahman has been revealed. So therefore, this Vipsa is important, and Neti Neti has to be taken as negating everything which is objective. Okay, Yadatu Sarvadik Kaladi Vividisha Nivartita Syat Sarvopadi Nirakarana Dwarena Tada Saindhava Ghanavat Ekarasam Pragnana Ghanam Anantaram Abahyam Satyasya Satyam Aham Brahma Asmiti Sarvato Nivartate Vividisha Atmanyeva Avastita Prajna Bhavati. Okay, Bhashyakara finally summarizes beautifully. Okay, what is that? He says, when see you have first you have what you want to know the nature of this world. Sarvadik Kaladi Vividisha is there. So all the different directions, time, space, time, you can say. So everything which is there in space, time, you want to know that, correct? But by negating all the upadi, sarva upadi nirakarana dwarena, what happens? All of them, whatever is there in space, time, that's how we normally know existence itself. All that is negated. Okay, with that, your vividisha or desire to know each one of them also is gone, because they are all really mithya. In fact, they really do not count. Correct? All these upadhi which are there, the names and forms, they are all negated. By negating them, sarvadik kaladi vividisha is gone. It is, you don't have any desire to know all these particular things. Space, time, everything else, that is not Brahman. The desire to know all these upadhis are gone, because upadhis themselves are negated. They are not the truth. They are only mithya. Then what is left out after negating all these things, all the upadhis? Okay, that is what is this. Yourself, Brahman is alone left out. Tada Saindava Ghanavat. So that which is like a lump of salt. The lump of salt is entirely salt only, correct? There's nothing else there. Homogeneity. Basically, Saindhava Ganavat means it is homogeneous. There are no parts. There is nothing else other than consciousness alone. That is the Prajnana Ghana also. So Eka Rasam also means all the same thing. Homogeneity only. Like even the lump of salt, Eka Rasam means not only one essence. Homogeneous. Prajnana Ghanam. This consciousness, dense consciousness, again you can call it. Ghana means dense, you can say, but basically the idea is consciousness alone is there, and which is anantaram abahyam, within, without, everywhere, or it is nowhere. It is neither inside nor outside. It means what? It is not in space. Understand that it is not spatial. Its existence is not spatial. Space itself exists in which consciousness. That is what anantaram abahyam means. It can be contradictory. It is like anoraniyan, mahato mahiyan, and all is said even in Kathopanishad, correct? Or it is like Zen koan, count, yeah, like that you can say. But really it is not contradictory. Basically, it is pointing out that it is not, the existence is not spatial. And that is the Satyasya Satyam. Okay. And also it is Aham. It is not separate from yourself. It is yourself. Aham Brahmasmi. Sarvataha Nivartate Vividisha. So once you know Aham Brahmasmi, which is like this, then all Vividisha is gone. All desire to know anything is gone. Because you are not even the knower. Your reality is that you are not even the knower. So once you are not even a knower, what desire you have to know anything then? You don't identify yourself as even the knower. Then you don't have to know anything. There is nothing to be known also. All the vividisha, all the desire is gone along with that knowledge itself. Means Atmani eva avasthita prajna bhavati. So your knowledge is resolved into yourself. Correct? This knowledge means here this consciousness, awareness, everything resolves into yourself. That is the akhandakara vritti and all we say. Akhandakara vritti means what? Khanda means broken down and all that. Akhanda means there is no division, there is no connection, there is no two things. You know yourself, your nature as you are, and that is it. There is nothing else to be said there. There is no other thing. Only everything resolves into yourself. Atmani eva avasthita prajna bhavati. So your knowledge also resolves into yourself. Along with that, the very fact that you are even a knower is getting resolved. That's why you cannot have any more desire to even know anything else really. Therefore, that is what he says. Tasmad vipsartham neti neti iti nakaradvayam. Therefore, that is why this neti neti has to be taken as vipsa. It is for the purpose of vipsa. It is for the purpose of communicating all, everything. Correct? That's why this nakaradvayam, 2 times na is there. Okay. Now this fellow is very disappointed. He says, Nanu mahata yatnena parikara bandham kritva kim yuktam eva nirdeshtum evam nirdeshtum brahma. So this this guy is saying, no, you have See, Mahata Yatnena Parikara Bandham. Kritva means what? You have made lot of effort to describe all these things. Murta, Amurta, this totality of creations, this Srishti Prakriya, everything you have done. And then what is the point in revealing Neti Neti? We could have said this Neti Neti in the beginning itself, maybe. So what is this you have done? It's like an anticlimax, correct? Means Vashikara says boredom. That is true. Yes. But we have no other way. That is the truth, in fact. So he says Yasmat itina ityetasmat iti vyapta vyaprakara nakaratvoya vishaya nirdishyante yata gramaha ramaniyaha iti anyat param nirdeshanam nasti. So itina it is not, thus it is not, thus it is not, like that. Two times this is being revealed through two nakaras. Okay, that in that manner only you can reveal it, correct? Like even saying gramaha ramaniya means here each, like I said in gramam Tamil also we use the same kind of phraseology. So each village is wonderful, it seems. Gramaha ramaniyaha means each village, each and every village is nice to see, beautiful. Okay, but that is the only way you can reveal this. So the iti, two times iti is used there, correct? That particle vyapta vyaprakara means what? It covers every object. Okay, everything, each and every object which you can think of is there in this iti. And this, since it comes two times, na iti na, that nakara dvaya, it covers each and every object and then it negates all of them. And there is no other way. Anyat param nirdeshanam nasti. You cannot do it any other way. So you cannot say it is an anticlimax or anything. This is the only way Brahman can be taught. Tasmad ayameva nirdeshaha brahmanaha. So therefore this is the only way Brahman can be taught. Brahman can be revealed. So that Upanishad itself is saying that we already saw. So yad uktam tasya Upanishad satyasya satyam iti evam prakarena satyasya satyam tat param brahma ataha yuktam uktam namadheyam brahmanaha. So here again Bhashyakara goes. So atha namadheyam satyasya satyam iti pranavai satyam tesham esha satyam. This part now Bhashyakara is giving the Bhashya. So in this manner, whatever has been revealed, Brahman has been revealed using this Neti Nirdesha. So in this manner, evam prakarena satyasya satyam tat param brahma. So that param brahma is really satyasya satyam. It is the truth of everything, whatever is tangible, whatever is intangible, that param brahma. And therefore that name is now proper for it. We have revealed that Brahman as the Satyasya Satyam, and that name is proper. Ataha Yuktam Namadeyam Brahmanaha. So whatever name Satyasya Satyam which has been already said before, that name is proper for Brahman. Brahman has been revealed in that manner as the truth of everything. Everything else is negated. And Namaiva Namadheyam, the Namadheyam word is there in the original Vakya. Namadheyam means name, Namayeva. And what is that Satyasya Satyam means? What is the first Satya? So that again is revealed. Pranavai Satyam. Also, it was said before pranaha. So satyam means prana vai satyam means this prana means all the indriyas you can take here, the sukshma sharira itself, and that sukshma sharira includes both sukshma sharira, sthula sharira, all these shariras are there. They are all included. The murta and amurta fits for that. Okay, and then this is the satyam of murta and amurta, sat and tyat. So that's how we look at it. Because prana itself is again a, here you have to understand it's all Upanishad secret names. Prana was shown as the sthula sukshma sharira sanghata. It is a compound of physical body or gross body and subtle body. That was said in the previous Brahmana, if you remember, or in yeah. And now in Murta Brahmana, the physical and subtle body only has been revealed as Murta and Amurta, tangible and intangible. And then its Satyam is Brahman, that also has been revealed. Therefore, originally whatever was said, Prana vai Satyam, Tesham Esha Satyam, Satyasya Satyam, that has been properly revealed here. So with this, we are completing this Tritiya Brahmanam. With this, the Ajatashatru, whatever we started in the first Brahmana, all that is complete. Now, the fourth Brahmana, that Bhashyakara is giving even a big introduction here. We'll see that. So this is famously known as the Maitreyi Brahmanam. So this is again, in fact, is repeated again later on also in Brihadaranyaka itself. So this Maitreyi Brahmanam again is a very important Brahmana. In fact, this is the only Brahmana which our Pujya Swamiji taught us in Brihadaranyaka. Unfortunately, he, at least I don't know whether he has taught anybody else, but he didn't teach us anything else from Brihadaranyaka. That is one reason why I even started conducting these classes, because I wanted to see more about what Bhashyakara has said in the Brihadaranyaka Bhashya. But Maitreyi Brahmanam is one of the most important Brahmanams in Brihadaranyaka itself. Atmanastu Kamaya Sarvam Priyam Bhavati. In fact, it starts with a story. Yajnavalkya tells Maitreyi that he is going to the forest to take up sannyasa and all that. And then she asks, if you are leaving all this wealth between me and, he had two wives in fact. So he divides it between his two wives and says that, my dear wives, you take all these things. I am not interested in any of this wealth anymore. I am going. Then one of them, there were two of them, Katyayani and Maitreyi. Maitreyi is the more discerning amongst the two, I have to say. And she then asks the question, is there any hope with all this wealth that I will be happy, that I will gain moksha? Means he says, Vittena na ashasti. That is there somewhere here. See, na ashasti vittena iti. So there is no hope for you with all this wealth, he says. Then you teach me Amrita, she says. Whatever is immortality, what is that? You teach me that. Then he becomes very happy that she asked him that. Okay. Then he tells, see, this is the important vakya here. Patyuk kamaya patif priyo bhavati na bhavati. In fact, atmanastu kamaya patif priyo bhavati. Like that it keeps on going. Correct? Finally, he says, atmanastu kamaya sarvam priyam bhavati. So that's how this Atma is revealed as the source of all happiness. In fact, really, this is a very important Brahmanam. We will look into this from next week. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.